Good morning, everyone. Today is Friday, July 23rd, 2021, the first day of the Tokyo Summer Olympics. So I greet you with the Japanese welcome, Ohayo. I am Barry Cowen, the president of the Deerfield Beach Computer Club since 2005, and I welcome you to today's Zoom class. My thanks to Bob Gostischa, Carol Friedman, and Jerry Minnick for being my co-hosts today. As you know, I submitted a reservation to CBE events personnel to resume live classes in our traditional location in November. I will keep you informed as developments warrant. Okay, something about today's presenter. Hey, that's me. Carol?
Yes, it certainly is. Today we have our illustrious president making the presentation, and Barry began his teaching career in New Jersey in 1966 when he taught Spanish, German, chemistry, and mathematics to junior and senior high school students. He received an MA in secondary education in Spanish in 1972. And in 1994, he retired from the Department of Defense as a supervisory education specialist. Among his many assignments at a variety of military installations, he served as an instructor in computers and electronics and developed technical manuals and programs for the training and evaluation of U.S. Army active and reserve soldiers. He has served as the president of the Deerfield Beach Computer Club since 2005. Take it away, Barry.
Oh, thank you very much, Carol. And I want to admit that I really couldn't do this all without you as my vice president. Thank you again for your continued support and friendship. Today's meeting is being recorded, so if you don't want to be viewed now, you can turn off your video. And we've muted your mics, so please use the chat board to post any questions or comments, or raise your hand by clicking or tapping on the hand icon on your screen. I need to state a disclaimer because of current situations that are existing across the board in all the clubs and organizations. This meeting is presented for information purposes only. All comments and opinions expressed by attendees, either orally or in writing, do not necessarily reflect those of the Deerfield Beach Computer Club and its board of directors. The club and its board are not responsible for third-party links that are mentioned, viewed, or accessed, and you agree to accept any risks by using them. I hope you all understand that. And now that's being said, we're going to move on to my presentation that I have called Potpourri, which is a French word meaning a mixture of things. So I'm going to begin today's class by sharing a screen from my desktop that will show our club site, and I will give you a brief tour of it. Later on, when I show you a tip, we'll view the mobile version of the site. Let me give you a little history before we begin. I've been with the club since actually 1995. In the beginning, we had a very crude website, and frankly, it wasn't very exciting. It was very minimal. It wasn't very attractive, but we had something there. It was known as db-cc.org. And we had a great gentleman who has passed away many years ago. His name was Bill Burrow. Bill Burrow, if many of us who have been in the club remember the name and have met him, was an unusual individual. He is a great artist who had his paintings displayed in Key West and all over West Palm Beach. He was a good friend of Ron's and mine and Mary Louise's. And he was instrumental in helping set up the webmaster job at our club. He served as webmaster, and he trained me to do some of it. Unfortunately, he passed away, and I had to learn how to do the WordPress all by myself. Well, that was a tremendous task. So we hired a company, which was then known as 123 Triad. 123 Triad then, because I had joined them then, agreed to train me for free. And it was quite a job because I hadn't done it before. Although I was very well versed in computers, there are certain things that really do take time. So I started to learn that on a gradual basis. And I started to master it to the point where I was confident enough to be able to do it on my own. Later on, this company, 123 Triad, became Go Web Design, which is now the current company, and they continue to train me in using it. So I'm very grateful for their support. And as you can see, our site had very little downtime in the last year or so. So it's worked out quite well. So that introduction leads me on to show you the website. I'm now going to share the screen. You should be seeing the Deerfield Beach Computer Club right there. Now I'm going to use this mouse, which is going to be completely active. When we go to the web version or the mobile version, I'll have to use a pointer type device, and I'll be actually using my finger on the iPhone to display it. And I might have to use a stylus to move the page up and down. But here you'll see the actual thing. I call this divided into blocks. We spend a whole lot of time making the site look attractive in colors. Here is our logo, of course. And here is our Facebook page. You may not realize it, but we do have a Facebook site called DBCC Silver Surfers. And you can access that on the iPhone or your any device for matter that's interconnected, but you do have to have a username and password. That's not a completely free site by going into it automatically. So here is our YouTube page, as you're all familiar with. When you click on that, it goes directly to our YouTube site. We have a search button when you type something in, which I'm not going to do at the moment, and click go. It will take you to somewhere on the site. This is our navigation bar. And Carol helped me a great deal with this. When she came to the club, she had extensive experience in instructional technology. And this made it very easy for me to understand and her to be able to explain to me what I needed to do to make this a very good site. So what I did was contacted the company and I said, our site looks very dull. We need it to be a little more exciting, a little more attractive, and make people want to stay on it rather than just jumping off it and going to another site. Technically in the industry, that's called bouncing. So what a site wants to do is to alleviate the bouncing problem. People shouldn't be going to another site from yours immediately. They should stay on it. So we have buttons here. Here's the about, tells who we are, our mission, directions, and the board of directors. So when you click on it, it takes you directly. Here's our board. So if you want to contact anybody, there it is. Now we're kind of short on members, but that's understandable with the pandemic and everything. But we have high quality members, and I'm very grateful for their support, which is keeping me going and this club going. Now, as I scroll up, you'll see that we have a mission here, which I always mention is to provide an informative, entertaining, and comfortable virtual learning environment via Zoom. Of course, that's going to change as time goes by. Okay. We have just added a blog button. And if you look down here, you'll see it says, in case you missed it, which is known as ICYMI. It's a listing of the classes that we've done with some information on how to, what the highlights were in each class. Now we have a blog button that takes you right down to where we first started, all the way back. If you keep scrolling down, You can click on this and you can see an image in some cases. Here's an example where Carol wrote in all the notes showing what Bob Anstead discussed at that time. So a blog is like a little journal, and we hope that makes a big difference in everything for you, makes it easier to access information. We also have a calendar, and this calendar, as you can see, has events on it. There was Carol's from the other 2 weeks ago, and there's mine for today. And the interesting thing is when you click agenda and you click this back button, it goes all the way back to every class that we've done up. I think it goes into 2019, but you can see that when we started Zoom on June the 12th. So we can go all the way back and see that the last class that we did actually was Dawn's at live classes. And then this was our first Zoom class. So I just wanted to let you know that I populate this as time goes by, and you'll be able to see that very clearly. All right, member resources are the thing I'm most proud of. This is a very difficult thing because the useful links, which I'm sure all of you have accessed at one time or another, have to be kept up to date. And I have to do all of this every week to make sure that these links are still valid. Now, sometimes they may invalidate, not because of my fault, but because they don't exist, because they've either been changed by the person who put them there, or they have simply disappeared and no longer function. But I try to keep everything up to date. You can simply click on it. We have some tremendous information. I don't want to go into anything specifically because I'm just giving you a tour, but you can see we have Ask the Experts, Tech, Health, Consumer, Seniors, Reference, Free Learning. There's Potpourri, which is today's title, which is a whole bunch of mix of stuff, and shopping. I guess we'll have to change that a little bit, but we've got a whole bunch of things. So I encourage you to really look at this at your leisure. And downloads. Here we're keeping to add some important downloads. Nineite is a great site. Bellark Advisor will show you everything that's on your computer. A lot of these things Bob has mentioned to us in his presentations as his favorite utilities, Specky and Unchecky, and we've added them there. And our handouts continue to be an important factor. This is Carol's latest handout. If you clicked on it, it would show you all the slides she gave from her last presentation. And you can go all the way down. Now, some of these handouts may be old, but it's amazing that the information hasn't changed over time. All right, let's go back to the home page and let's look down to the middle block, as I call it. There's the pictures of everybody. We're going to be changing those as time goes by. We have a section called Breaking News, which is a post that changes each time I change it, as a matter of fact. It will tell you about the next meeting, give you an idea as soon as we have a title and a speaker, and it will tell you when invitations were sent out. And this is something you need to do, is to check your email, especially on Monday, the week of the meeting, to make sure that you have the latest information. We have an upcoming events section, which has disappeared because today is the event, but we will be posting other things there that you can view. We're also proud of this new section called Trending Now. This was specially designed by the Go Web design team for me and for the club. It contains blocks of various subject matter. Assistive tech is something that, of course, our resident expert, Dr. Don Grossman, will update occasionally as he needs to. And we expect that that will be done over this a few more months as time goes by. And latest tech shows you the latest Apple products or Microsoft or Google's products. These are links which, when clicked on, will bring you to the latest information. Fantastic finds are things that I come up with, that people send me, or that I look at other sites. Cell phones for soldiers is important. I did that talk a month ago about repurposing your devices. And this is a great way to help the military by sending an old cell phone or giving them to soldiers. There's instructions on there on how to do it. Tech for Senior is a tremendous, valuable resource that a group of people always hold. Bob Gostischa and friends. That's very useful too. Here's the Alzheimer's store. This is a great resource if you know someone that has Alzheimer's, or even if you have an aide or someone else that needs to know some of the best resources. Some of them are not expensive, but the site is extensive, which is more important than anything. Here we have our member news flash, which says when news that you need to know. For example, we mentioned already resuming classes in November. Our Zoom meetings will start at 10 o'clock, sign-ins between 9:30 and 10. They'll be held on the first Fridays of each month, unless, of course, there are 5 Fridays in the month, and then we have to adjust the schedule, and a little bit of that. Now we come to the bottom section, which is news to use. And here is something on Windows 11 that Bob Gostischa is going to present toward the end of this meeting, and our old directions and a survey form. And here is a very familiar one. APCUG is the national organization that we belong to, the Association of Personal Computer User Groups. One of our co-hosts, Jerry Minnick, today is a regional director, and he presents a whole lot of tips on iPhones and iPads and Androids and everything else. Finally, on the bottom is our footer. We have a privacy section that I'm continuing to update that you can view. And here is our certified and secured sign showing that we are verified by GoDaddy. I just had it secured officially through Secure Socket Layer technology, which means basically that when somebody clicks on our site, they're not going to get a red screen saying Google, a Google warning that this site is not legal or is not one that has been duly certified. So that gives me a real good feeling. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and now I'm going to go to my iPhone and iPad. Okay, you'll be seeing it very quickly, I hope. All right. Aha. There we go. You should all be seeing my iPhone and iPad. Now I'm going to have to use this to track along, but I'll be using either my finger or a stylus, which you should all be using anyway. There's a good tip right there. When you go into a store, don't touch their screens if you're going into Best Buy or Walmart or whatever else, because people touch those screens, and I'm not very sure that people clean them very well, because I see a lot of fingerprints there. So if I do, I always carry a stylus with me, or if I'm using my own phone, I carry a stylus, or maybe put a little bit of sanitizer on it so that I'm not transmitting anything. These days, you just can't be too careful. So hopefully everybody's seeing this screen. Now this is, of course, an iPhone, and I'm not dissing Android phones. but there's a lot in this presentation that may also apply to people who are Android users or are thinking of switching to iPhone from Android. In my experience, iPhones are much easier to learn than Android. Although there are 2 billion devices out there, probably Samsung, LG, Huawei, a whole bunch of other companies, their screens don't tend to be that consistent across the board. With iPhone, it's much easier, in my opinion and in my experience, to teach seniors how to use it. Okay. Right now, you're looking at the iPhone in portrait mode, which is vertical, and that is 4:3 ratio. Later on, we'll turn the phone sideways to move it into landscape mode, which is 16:9, which is what you usually see on a movie screen in the theater. It's widescreen mode. Let's take a look at the first thing you should do. What I've done here is to go to settings. And the first thing I did is go to display and brightness. And on here, there's something called auto lock. If you click on auto lock, it will give you time to look at the screen up from 30 seconds to 5 minutes or never. If I hadn't checked never, this screen would turn off right in the middle of my presentation and stop the share. If I left it on when I wasn't sharing anything, it would drain the battery. So I'm leaving it on never, but I'm showing you what that is and the reason I'm using it that way. So the first tip I'm going to show you is updating your iPhone. You go to settings, and then you go to general, and then you go to software update. I have my automatic updates on, and it gives me two choices. I can download them automatically or install them automatically. I like to do that way. Above that is about. So if I click on about, it tells me all about my phone. It gives the name, which I can change at random if I want to. I don't need to because that tells me what phone I have. You'd be amazed how many people I ask, well, what phone have you got? Wait a minute, I don't remember. So this is a way to do it. I'm sure there's a way to do it also in Android, but as I say, I don't have an Android phone, so I'm assuming it works the same way. Here's the latest software version that came out this week, 14.7. And I'm going to answer a question that a lot of people raise. Why should I update it? And what do these updates mean? Well, basically speaking, Apple operating system updates always contain security patches as well as new features. And these patches address vulnerabilities, so you should install them either automatically or manually as soon as possible. Another reason to do it is that Apple will decertify older updates over time, so you can't go back to an older version. And to find this information, this is the way you do it. So it shows you the model name, the model number, and the serial number. These are things that the technician would need if you go down and have your phone repaired. Look how much I've got on my phone. I've got 606 songs, 46 videos, 189 photos. I had as much as 1,000 on them before I offloaded them to Google Photos. Remember that deadline a month or so ago? I have 177 apps on this phone, and I bought it at the highest capacity that 128 gigabytes, because I was doing a lot of video, and iPhone photos and videos take up a lot of space on your phone. So you want as much space available when you buy a phone as you can. these days. And of course, the rest of this is just general information. Carrier is locked to AT&T, which means it's basically an AT&T phone. There is a SIM card in there that I had talked about in a previous meeting. On the right side, it's actually a little card that when you push it in with a paper clip or a SIM removal tool, it comes out. And that way the phone can be used in wireless, but it can't make and receive calls. But you can put another SIM card in there for a different carrier like T-Mobile and whatever. And then, of course, you can run on T-Mobile's network, but you can't run on them both at one time because you'll be paying for both. That's not a pretty good idea. All right. So let's take a look at what is actually on your phone. You go to settings and general, and now we're going to go look at iPhone storage. This is so useful because it tells me how much of each category I am using. In my case, I've used 44.9 of 128. I've had this phone for almost 2 years now. I have 404.12 gigabytes is taking most. Now, there's a whole list of applications that I have, and I say I've got 177, so it's a lot to keep track of. But the listing will apply to whatever applications you have on your device, not necessarily this one. So when you click it, it tells you the app size, it tells you the documents and data in it, and there is something called offloading. So if you want to free up space and storage used and keep everything, the documents and data, and you can reinstall it later if the app is available in the App Store, you can offload it, which will reduce the size of the storage on your phone. In some cases, that may be critical. You can also delete it if you wish. And then here, it's got all the songs that I've got listed. Wow, that's a big list. So that's a very helpful thing to know. iPhone storage. Now, if your battery is taking a long, is diminishing rapidly, it looks like the way to find out about it is to go to battery. And there's something there called battery health. If you scroll down to that, it will show you that my battery was last charged to 74%. It's a good idea because these are lithium-ion batteries to let them charge down a little bit. I let it go down as low as 30 or 40%, and then I charge it up fully. And you don't, as a rule, want to leave it on the charger all night, although you could, because the technology is now trickled down, where once it reaches 100% at a point, it will turn off the charging or prevent it from wasting your battery. Here's my battery level, the activity, how long I've had my screen on. And I must admit and confess that I have a lot of times I'm on the home and lock screen, 34%. Now, if you click show activity right here, you're going to see that it tells me actually how long I've been on it. Gmail, 14 minutes. A whole bunch of stuff, all the apps. So you can use this information to determine your battery. It'll tell you in the last 24 hours and in the last 10 days. Now I can see graphically what my battery usage was. And I can adjust my battery usage by not using that app as much. There's the percent, and it can change as I'm using this phone right now. It's plugged in, so that it doesn't discharge in any way during this presentation. But I think you'll find that to be a great, great useful feature. All right, there's so much on here. Let's look at display and brightness. You can change your appearance from light to dark by pressing that button. A lot of people like the dark screen. I'm not going to show you that right now, but I will show you something that's very useful. It's called swiping. Swiping is a term where you're moving your finger over the screen in different directions. For example, if you swipe this way, we're going to go into widgets, which I'm going to show you in a little while. If you swipe this way, you're going to go to the app library that I'm going to discuss in a few moments. If you swipe diagonally down, you come to the control panel, which has a whole list of things that I'm going to show you in a moment. And if you swipe this way, you get messages that came in, notification centers, okay? All those things that I sometimes don't need to know, but they come right up, so I have an idea of what's going on. So let's take a look at the app library. In iOS 14, Apple came up with a way of organizing and classifying all of your apps automatically. So you can see right here, it's placed it in suggestions, recently added, utilities, social. Well, let's just pull out news, for example. Information and reading. Let's see what I've got there. Well, I got CNN. I didn't want to do that. Let me come back. I wanted to get the entire thing showing. There it is. There's all my information and reading apps already classified and placed in categories. This is tremendously convenient. And if you hold your finger on any of them, I'll just hold it on CNN, it will bring up a menu that tells me what I can do. I can delete the app if I want to, or I can hold my finger down and drag it somewhere else on the screen, or I can simply put it right back where it was. Now it's in the screen proper. And if I hold it down, I should be able to add it right back into information and reading. And there it is. Now, if I want to search for an app anywhere on my iPhone, all I have to do, let me go back up there again. There's an app library. I don't know if you can see it. I'm having trouble seeing it up on the screen, but there is an app library there. And when I search for something, let's say I'm looking for CNN, I just type CNN, and now it shows the app right there, and I can open it right from the app screen. That is a great, great convenience. And when I want to close something, I just swipe up, click cancel, and I'm back to my app library. A very useful feature that Apple recently added. And when you have 177 of these things and still growing, I know someone that has as much as 300, and this keeps everything organized neatly. And you'd be amazed how Apple guesses correctly what category they're in. So I can pick any other thing I want, and it will show up that way. All right. Now we come to a very interesting thing. Let me delete this 1 second because I'm going to show you what to do. A widget is a mini app that gives you a lot of information on it. So widgets are on Android, believe it or not. I found that that was a function on Samsung phones and LG phones and Huawei phones and whatever. Widgets have been there for the longest time. So I guess Apple must have quote unquote licensed the feature, just like Samsung does the same with Apple. I guess it's copycatting and you can't do much about that. Now you'll see that there's something on here that says edit. By the way, this widget is a battery widget, so it shows how much power there is on my iPhone, what percentage is remaining on my iPhone, and this is my Apple Watch that I'm wearing. Also tells me how much battery is on my Apple Watch. Now, if I edit it, I have two choices. I can add something or I can customize. Well, if I customize, it will bring you to a screen with all of your widgets, which I rather selections that you can use. Now, this depends on what you have on your particular phone. That list will vary. The easiest way to do it is click the plus button. And now you see a whole bunch of widgets. This one is called a smart stack, which will rotate. Now, let's say I want to always be able to see the stock market without having to go to my main screen and click the stocks icon itself. So I just click stocks and I say add widget. And there it is. And I can continue to add widgets. Here's the weather for Coconut Creek. I'm going to add that widget. And not only that, I can move them across to the screen, or I can keep them right here in order. There's no limit to what I can add. Here's one for my music. Will show me everything that was played in music. Here's one, there's the stocks. And if you want to see your photos all the time, it will show you a photo widget listing all of the photos that you have and rotating them through for you like a slideshow. But this is very interesting, this smart stack. You can use that and it will rotate through a whole bunch of things that you have on your phone. Here's maps. Siri suggestions. Notes is very interesting, which I'm going to show you in a moment. Weather, shopping reminders. Here's a world clock. So if I want to put a world clock in there and I add a widget, this is interesting. You can decide which way you want it to show. This way, by add a clock to a city. You can show it as a world clock in multiple cities, or you can show it in widescreen and you can change it if you want. There's Tokyo, there's Sydney, there's Paris, and there's Cupertino, California, where it's set as in Apple's headquarters, of course. I use the simple clock widget. I'm just going to add the clock widget, and there it is. And then I can press that widget and I can change the city. Let's go to Tokyo and see what it is in Tokyo. So I'll go to Tokyo and whoops. All right, I click on that. And now the city is Tokyo in there. And now it's showing Tokyo time, which is of course 12, 13 hours ahead of us. If you want to remove a widget, all you got to do is tap the negative, the minus, and you can remove it. Let's see what else we got here. And I think it works the similar way. Here are all of my choices. I've got a whole bunch. And this will populate automatically depending on the applications that you have on your phone. So I think you'll find that to be a very useful feature. And now one of the highlights that we've always talked about is accessibility. I want to show you one that is really interesting. If you go to the home screen, accessibility has been moved from a submenu to the main menu, which is showing you how important it is. Seniors especially must pay attention to this tip. Here is accessibility. If I press on that, it takes me over to a menu, and I'm going to scroll down to touch. And when I click touch, I will go up to assistive touch. Allows you to use your iPhone if you have difficulty touching the screen or if you require an adaptive accessory. Watch this. You turn on assistive touch by sliding the button till it's green, and watch what's showing up on the screen now. Do you all see it? Because my screen sharing stopped for a second. Hold on. Okay, we're back to assistive touch. And what you're going to do is notice on the screen, there's this little dot that follows you all the way around from screen to screen, everywhere you go. I can move it to this screen, I can move it to that screen, I can move it at any position. But what it does, it gives you an accessibility menu. Let's say I'm just going to move it over here for now, and I click on it. And now it shows me that if I want to go to the control center, all I do is press that button and I'm in the control center without having to do anything about it. Here it is again. If I want to go home, I can go there. If I want to go to the notification center, it will take me there instead of having to swipe on the screen. If you want to go to the device, it now will allow you to rotate the screen, lock the screen, use your volume up, mute the screen or volume down, and more. It will allow you to switch apps, take a screenshot, shake to undo, make it reachable if you have a difficulty with your fingers reaching the top of the phone or the screen. Brings up an SOS for medical, will restart the device and does gestures. An amazing thing. And if I want to go home, all I have to do is click that. You can also customize it. And you can use pinch and rotate, a long press, a double tap. I'm not going to go through all that, but you can see how useful this thing is. And if you want to get rid of it at any time, it can be a nudnik, where it can be bothersome when it shows up all the time. All you have to do to undo it is go back to your settings. Let's get rid of this right here so it doesn't interfere. And we'll go back to accessibility. We'll go back to touch, and we'll simply take it out. And now we're back to our normal screen. Now, one person asked me, or a lot of people asked me, how can I make an icon of the Deerfield Beach Computer Club on the home screen so I don't have to keep typing it in? Well, watch this, pretty easy. Whoops, that's not it. That's a nice picture though. Let me get back here to Safari. We're going to take that off for a moment because that's not what's supposed to be on there. Give me a second, and I'm going to type in dbcc.net. And now you see, there it is. This is our site, the way it looks mobile. This is a good time to explain how it looks. There's your menu with everything in just like it is on the desktop site. And you can get to member resources that way. You can get to the about section that way. So it's a very convenient thing. But what we're going to do right now is we are going to create a DBCC bookmark on our home screen. To do that, I'm going to go click this square with a little arrow in it. When I do that, it comes up with a bunch of options. The one that you should select is the one that says add to home screen. There is the URL for it, and it says welcome to the Deerfield Beach Computer Club. So all I need to do is click the add button, and now there it is. Proof. All I do is now click that icon, which is now on the screen, and there it is. So you have a perfect way of getting into the club. I think that's a very useful tip. Let me see what's in the chat here. Okay. Finally, I'd like to show you Apple Maps. And this is where we maybe see the landscape mode here. We go to Apple, and I believe I have it over here. Yeah, Maps. And guess what? There's Tokyo. If we type in Tokyo, we can get a flyover. Right now it's flying over Tokyo, and if I turn my screen to the landscape mode, you're now seeing everything going over all of Tokyo in the park. This is a feature that Android phones have had for some time, but Apple has really redone the Maps app, and now you can see everything. And you can start a city tour where we'll actually start moving now. And showing you areas of the city. Okay, great. So here we are back to the beginning again. And I hope you've learned a great deal from this presentation. And there are many things on here that, of course, will vary with what you have on your phone. But I think I've shown you that there are an amazing amount of things. This phone is no longer anything like it used to be. It's a computer. It's a computer in your pocket, and you can see all the things this phone, any phone can do. This should be with you all the time. I know it is with me. I can't live without it. And of course, it is social media on it. I have, and 177 apps is a lot to keep track of. But as I say, that's the kind of person I am, and I'm proud to do it. So I want to thank you for your attention during this presentation.
Barry, you wanted to share something about notes.
Oh, yes, notes. Great. Thank you for reminding me, Don. If we go to notes, on the bottom, there is a box here. You can click new note. And in there, we have an options here at the top. Can you see those three dots at the top? One can show lines and grids, but down at the bottom, there's a camera icon. And if you click the camera icon, you can scan a document right there. You can put the document right in through notes. You can scan it and save it as a note. That way you'll have a picture of it right there. You can do that in a store. You can do it on a QR code or anything like that. But I think that's an amazing thing on notes. And you can always make a note just by tapping on it. And you can say hello. And we can change the title, make it a heading or a subheading. We can make it italic. We can underline it. if we need to. I don't know if it's working that way, but that's what it should have done. And when you click done, the note's there and it's in your list. If you don't want it, you can simply swipe it and hit the trash can.
Can you send it somewhere?
Yeah. Let's see, if you take a note, let's see, I've got a whole bunch of notes on mine. Let's see, I've got 30 notes. I can do, let's see, I don't want to send anything that's private, of course. But let's say how to use notes on your iPhone. That's a note in itself. So yeah, you can, let's see what our options are. You can send a copy right there on the bottom. See this, Don?
Okay,
You can send a copy right there. You can scan something, you can pin it. And if you lock it there, it'll stay in the notes list. A very, very handy thing to have. So that's my presentation, folks, today. I hope you enjoyed it. Okay.
Barry, do you want to ask for questions before you move
Yes.
on?
Does anybody have any questions before I move on?
Barry, I don't have a question, but I'd like to add one thing.
Go ahead.
And oh, by the way, that was a fantastic presentation. When you first started, you went into auto lock
Mhm.
from general and what have you.
Yes.
Okay. Down there in auto lock, folks, you got some information that you need to write down and put somewhere else, just in case your device comes up lost, stolen, or strayed.
Oh, interesting.
And what you need is the model number, the serial number, and the IMEI, International Mobile Equipment Identity Number. You need those someplace else besides on that device. Why? Because that's what the police report wants, the information. So does Apple. If you have insurance, you need a police report or they won't pay, et cetera, et cetera. So I have these on a little card in my wallet, but I also have them on my computer for my iPhone, my iPad, and my Apple Watch. That's it. Make sure you have that information somewhere else besides on the device.
Very helpful.
And of course, you can go to settings about, right? General about will tell you that as well. Yeah. If you go to the about, that will
Yes.
get, yeah, that will also, well, will tell you the model number and the serial number, but the IMEI there is, yeah, where you said it was. Okay,
I had two questions.
go ahead.
Somehow I missed how to put the Deerfield Beach Computer Club onto as a widget to get it started as a widget there. And then at the very end, how to do that scanning that you were just talking about.
Oh, okay. Were we talking about making an icon of the Deerfield Beach, making a bookmark on the
Yes.
homepage?
No, before that, making an icon, yeah, an icon of it, so that
Okay.
it could be there when you open up.
Well, basically, you want me to share the screen again? I can do that. Let me do that. See if I can go back.
I just missed that first step.
Oh, all right. Well, what you do is you go to Safari. You type in db-cc.net. When you
Okay.
when you get to the bottom, when the page loads, you go to the bottom and you'll see a square, a little square with an arrow sticking out of the top.
Yeah,
When you click on that, it will give you a list of options. the option that you want to select is the one add to home screen. When you
Okay.
click that, it will come up with a small, what do you
Icon.
call it? Icon. Yeah, we'll come up with a selection for add. You click add, and then it will immediately go on your home screen.
Okay. That was the step I missed. Thank you.
Okay. Mackie. Unmute yourself, please.
Mackie, unmute yourself.
Thank you. Sorry, Mackie Bachelor. At the beginning, you were in settings and software updates, and you said you could install or download automatically, and I did not hear whether you said to do both or make a choice.
Oh, well, when you're in settings software update and you click that arrow, it gives you a choice there. You can keep them both on. Let me go back to that. I think I need to reshare that.
Okay,
Give
because
me a sec.
I didn't understand whether you said to make one or the other choice or,
Okay, give me a second here. I'm going to try and mirror it back in. Let's see.
You did have both of them checked.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to check right now. All right, so I'm back on the iPhone. Do you see it? Yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so now we're going to go to settings and software update. And it said automatic updates are on. All right, if you click that, it says automatically install it overnight after they've been downloaded, or you will receive a notification before they're installed. Your iPhone must be charging and connected to Wi-Fi to complete the update. So if you want to do it manually, you just click those off. And then when it says, and then when you want to update it, you can do it on your own. But I like to keep it here because that makes it easy. If your phone's connected, it'll download it automatically for you. So you'll always have it there. Otherwise, you might have to do it manually, because when a lot of people try to do an update at the same time, sometimes it slows down the whole system. So after they release it, you should wait a little while, and I just usually by the morning, it's all updated. I do that with my iPad too. There's a similar setting here for iPads. And I'm sure there is in Android devices also. Does that answer your question?
yes, thank you.
Does anyone else have a question while I have the screen up here? By the way, you can see it says Zoom DBCC here. That's the mirroring thing. So if you want to mirror a screen in Zoom, that's the way to do it. There's an option on your Zoom screen to use an iPhone or an iPad. And you can see it's actually showing it off of my Apple TV, which I don't have, it's connected in another room. So I probably would see it on both devices. Okay, I'm going to stop that share.
Wait, Barry,
Yes,
you had mentioned something, you showed an option to offload apps, which
Ye-
allowed you to be able to then reinstall them with the data. Could you say a little more about that? Because that wasn't really clear.
okay. Let me try to go back again. I'll go back again. Let's see. I think that was probably,
It was when you were showing storage, I think, and
Yes.
ways to save storage.
right. Let me get back to that in a second. All right, let's go back in and let's go to settings, iPhone. No, it's settings, iPhone storage, I believe, storage.
I think it was general, then storage.
Yeah. There's so much on here that, there it is. iPhone storage, that's good, thank you. And then there was an option here on each one of those things that you could offload the app. If you right-clicked on that arrow for each app that you have on your phone, it will tell you what you can do. The app size may not be large, but mine particularly is. It's got 4.11 gigs. It doesn't matter because I have 128 on the phone. But I can offload it, which will mean that it will keep the documents and data, but it will drop the size off the overall total that you have left of storage on the device if you need it. If you don't need it, just leave it there. But you can always, if you can delete it from there, if you don't even want to use it anymore, or you can reinstall it and place it back in your data. It's like it's disappeared, it's offloaded. So it's not really visible, but if you have to go back to the App Store and you would have to reload it, and then it would return everything back the way it was. So it doesn't really delete it. Offloading is just taking the data away from it. Does that answer the question?
Is it,
Barry,
Yeah,
offload means that the program itself and the space the program takes
right.
is removed.
That's
The
correct.
data removes. And in your example, it's the data that took up all the space,
That's
not
right.
the program.
That's
Okay,
correct.
so when you do offload, you're only saving the amount that the program or the app itself.
Okay, thanks, Bob, for that. And now I have a special treat for everyone. As part of our Potpourri mix, my good friend and our good friend, Bob Gostischa, has a special video that he's going to show you about Windows 11. You probably all heard about it. Here we go.
Question was asked, is Windows 11 different from Windows 10? And the answer is, it depends on lots of things. And there are, of course, differences in Windows 11 from Windows 10. But as far as does it look any different, it depends on your settings. If you look at my screen, it's not what you are used to seeing when people talk about Windows 11. That's because I can change what appears on my screen. Do a right click on any empty part of the screen, and under personalize, when this opens up, I chose this as my background. And I got this from one of the pictures that I had taken. So it's one of my images that I'm using as a background. When you first set up Windows 11, it probably will look like this. This is what most people get to see when they first come up with Windows 11. And yes, it's radical, but it doesn't have to stay this way. Again, right click, go to personalize, and I can go right back to where I started before I made any changes. And as you can see here, there are some other changes. This one has the light background, still that same abstract cloud formation, but there are others. And you choose what you want for your background. You can change your colors, your themes, all sorts of things. You also have control on one window for display or two windows to display if you happen to have two monitors or a laptop and a monitor. One, you can have two separate displays. Just don't do what I just finished doing, and that's making a recording of all of this. But I was demonstrating on screen number 2, and by default, it's screen number 1 that was being recorded. And screen number 1, I didn't have the same display on screen 1 as I did on screen 2. So you need to be careful when you do make changes, and if you have more than one monitor. Biggest change is Windows 11 has its taskbar in the center of the screen. There's still a start menu. No, it's not all the way on the left side of the screen. That's because the taskbar isn't all the way on the left side of the screen. There used to be what they call a fix, or a way of manipulating it so that this would go back to the left side of the screen to be more like it was in Windows 10 and Windows 8 or 7. Microsoft has now put a stop to that. Fix it won't work. Besides, if you're going to use Windows 11, you might as well get used to Windows 11. Otherwise, why not stay with Windows 10? Windows 10 is going to be here for quite some time yet. It's supported all the way up until 2025. So there is not a reason that you need to change over to Windows 11. If you like something new, something a bit different, maybe you want to take a look at it. If your system is ready for Windows 11, you can change over to Windows 11. You then have 10 days to decide whether that's something you want to stay with, or you can just revert back to Windows 10. So as I said, the big difference, your taskbar is in the center of the screen. There's still a start button, but it's not all the way on the left. It's now on the left side of the taskbar, which is in the center. When you click on the start menu, guess what? It looks different. It's supposed to be different. And you can still get to all of your apps as you could when you were using Windows 10. Some suggested ones are pinned, makes it easier to get to those that you probably use quite often. There are also some recommended ones on the bottom. There's a more button, so there are quite a few others that you can choose from. And if you click on all apps, this is pretty much what it was before, a listing of all your apps in the start menu in alphabetical order. There's also a search bar. So if you know which app or program you're looking for, you can type it into the search bar, type what you're looking for. And as soon as you start typing, there it is. But in the start menu, you don't really have to open up the search bar. As soon as this opens, start typing. It automatically fills it in on the search bar. One less step, and you still wind up at the same place. That was also available in Windows 10. You didn't have to use the search bar. You could simply open up the start menu and start typing for what you're looking for. And you don't have to just look for apps. You can look for settings. You can look for all kinds of things. As it says here, find results in apps, in documents, or on the internet. So that's your start menu. The other one is your desktops. You can have more than one desktop. So if you're working on a bunch of things, set some of them up on one desktop, and you just open up the appropriate desktop. This is the widgets. We got a hint of this in Windows 10. The very last update gave us something about news and weather. Well, basically, that's what the widget is, only instead of it being here, where you could see just a little pop-up, now it has its own widget, and when you open it, it gives you the weather, and you can do some changes in here. You can add widgets once they become available. You can watch your photos on this date, all kinds of things. You can have a watch list for stocks and whatever. That's what the widget is all about. You can also add things to the taskbar. For instance, I wanted a quick little way to get to my settings. Yes, there's a shortcut key. You can use the Windows key and the I key, and you go to settings. Once settings opened, I pinned it to the taskbar. So now all I have to do is click here, and my settings opens up. And you'll notice this looks different, but you still have all the same things that you can get to as you did in Windows 10. Your File Explorer, when you open it, it probably looks a little bit different to you. Certainly the icons have changed. Just some of the changes in Windows 11. By no means even a small inkling of all the changes. I have a Windows 11 playlist on my YouTube channel where I produce videos of some of the new things within Windows 11. And if you're interested, take a look at it and see if you can learn something before you change over to Windows 11. My only advice is, if you intend to use Windows 11, then use Windows 11. Many people are looking to see, how can I make it look like Windows 10 or Windows 7? Best way to make it look like Windows 10 is to stay with Windows 10. If you want to use it like Windows 7, then why not install Windows 7? I don't recommend it. It's no longer supported. But if that's what you want to run, it is your computer and it is your choice. Just a quick little look.
Thanks, Bob. That was excellent. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you.
And
Is there a charge for that? Once you get it installed, you have to pay for it?
No, if your computer is capable of running Windows 11, you can upgrade to Windows 11. Right now, you need to be a Microsoft Insider, which is like a beta tester for Microsoft, in order to upgrade. It has not yet been released to the general public.
What's the release date, Bob? Do you have any idea?
Probably the beginning of next year. There may be some computers that'll be sold brand new that will have Windows 11 on it. They're still trying to get it there by Christmas time. But for the average person, if you're upgrading, that's not going to be available until next year.
I've posted the YouTube site that Bob talked about that has all of his videos about Windows 11 in the chat. And it will be added also in the notes from this session.
Anybody have any questions?
Not on 11. That was good. Thank you.
Good. Anybody have other questions before we end the meeting a little while? It was a pleasure. We had 29 people here. Dorothy? Want to unmute yourself?
I have an old Apple 6S, and all of a sudden it's not letting me type different things. Is it time for me to buy a new phone?
Remember the repurposing class that I gave? If the phone can always be, if you buy a new phone, that's going to probably be in September when they're coming out with the new 13s. Very shortly, you're going to be getting iOS 15, probably in the next month or so. Comes out ahead, and preview has already been given during the Worldwide Development Conference that they gave this year. And so I would wait. If that thing is it slowing down? What's the problem with it?
If I go to a website and it says search, and I click on the search thing, it's not letting me type it. I can't get the keyboard.
You might have to restart the device, or look for a setting for keyboard in there. I think there's something on keyboard in one of the settings on the phone, and
Okay.
See if that will need to be reset. So it might, sometimes the settings slip, but restarting, like in anything, usually does the job.
I usually buy a refurbished. So if I go with a refurbished, should I go with like an 8 or a 10, or what should I go with if I do buy a refurbished?
Depends what features you're looking for. Of course, an XR is excellent. Though it's
Okay.
a little older, it has a lot of the features. They had the mini iPhone, but they're going to be coming out with some very lower priced, low-end models as well. So if you can hang on to it a little while longer, that would be good.
Okay,
If you can't make, if you're having problems with that function, there's the man that can tell you, Jerry. Go ahead, Jerry.
No, I was just waving goodbye. Yes.
Oh.
If anybody has questions, you can send me an email and I'll certainly answer them, but I have another appointment I have to go to.
Jerry, thanks a lot for attending. It was very, and the best to you and your family.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Good seeing all you guys again. Fantastic.
Okay,
But I gotta go.
okay, bye-bye.
Barry,
Dora,
Yes,
Dorothy.
Ron.
Barry, excellent program today. I learned a lot. I assume you use iPhone, but it has the same iOS. I assume everything you said for the iPhone applies to the iPad.
Pretty much, but some of the settings may vary depending on, actually, if you have the latest software update, you should actually have pretty much the same menu. There
Okay,
are
good.
changes that can happen, but whoops, somebody just came in. Wow.
Yep.
she got knocked off. She came back in.
Yeah.
Dorothy, the
yes,
other thing about if you're going to buy a refurbished iPhone, you're already buying one that's older. So I would suggest that you buy one that is the newest of the old ones you can get, so that you're going to have access to iOS software as it continues to update, because otherwise you won't be able to load the latest after some point.
okay, thank you.
One other thing, Dorothy, do you have an option to do a voice search? Because sometimes if there's a microphone, you don't have to type. You can just
Right.
say what you're looking for.
Yeah, I do have that option.
Give that a try. That might be able to prolong having to change over.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll bet all of you are gonna watch the Olympics now for the next 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, Barry, before you go, or maybe
Yeah.
after it's over, I've got a quick procedural question on taking data from my phone to actually Blackboard, if there's a quicker way. In class, the teacher wants to see my drawing, and what I have to do now is take a picture of the drawing with my phone, send that picture then on email to my computer, open up the email, and then download it from there and then show my screen. Is there a quick way of being able to do that?
Bob, you're the expert there.
We talking about a computer or the phone?
Both. I take a picture. Yeah, she wants to see my drawing. I'm in Blackboard. She wants to see my drawing, and I do that by sharing my screen.
I-
No
Number
quick
one,
way.
I'm not an expert on Apple, and I don't know Blackboard.
Well, that pretty much, that shortens it up real quick, doesn't it?
Yep.
Well, have you checked YouTube for video on that? Have you checked with the Apple support community on apple.com?
And I also just thought while you were showing us, I might be able to mirror my screen from my phone over to my computer and show her that way too, because it shares the screen. That's a thought while you were doing that. That just came up.
Yeah,
Okay, thanks. Yeah, that give me some direction here. Give me some direction. Thanks.
okay, so Lorraine, you still there? Oh, okay. Well,
Yes, I am.
Oh, great. So what did you think?
I think the presentation was excellent. I've learned so many things on my phone. It's like, wow. I'm
Yeah.
still looking, I'm looking on my phone to see where is notes, because I didn't even know I had this thing on this notes thing. So I'm looking for where that application is because I can't find it. But it was terrific, very, very, it's bringing us a lot of knowledge on the tools that we have.
Notes is built into the operating system. You should find an icon for it by default on your screens. It's not there? Then go up to the App Store and see if Notes can be loaded in from there.
Oh, good idea.
Just
Thank
go up to
you.
the Apple App Store, see if it's
Thank
there.
you.
But normally it's on mine, it's just all the phones, it's been a default application, but you can go to apple.com. If any of you are
Yeah.
on Facebook, Apple has a great support
'Cause
site on there.
Because I I have reminders, I have OneNote, but I don't have notes. So, but I will, it's on my to-do now.
Yeah,
Very
Okay,
interesting.
and you can try just searching it on your phone, searching for what's on your phone.
Yes.
Siri should be able to let you do that too, where you push the Siri button and say, open notes, and it should
Oh.
pop right up.
yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah, there are a lot of things you can do with Siri, but I must have gone through 50 tips before I came up with these, so there's just so much I can do, and I think
think it was
I think I hit the basics.
It was excellent, Barry. Thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge.
Oh, boy,
Barry,
yeah.
I agree. And can you hear me? Yeah, I
Yes.
agree. I learned things today I wasn't aware of, and I use my iPhone all the time for everything, but now I can use it for more. Thank you.
I think
Right.
I think widgets, as you saw, widgets was a term that Bob used in his video. And also, well, let it ring. I don't care right now. Hang on.
One other thing about Windows 11, it's going to allow you to be able to run apps from, if you're on a Android phone. It hasn't yet officially been released, but they're supposed to be able to run Android apps on Windows 11.
Well, if I didn't get a chance to talk to everybody, I want to wish you a safe and happy 2 weeks, and we'll be back. What is it? August 6th is the next, I think. Well, we'll get something together in the next 2 weeks. As time goes by, it's just, as I said, it's zooming by literally. And with everything that's going on in the news, I'm really not sure what the future will hold, but I know that as long as we stay together in unity, there is strength, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Stay safe.
God bless everybody. Stay safe. Take care and wave goodbye.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, bye.
We should have this recording up probably over the weekend, and you'll be able to see it on our YouTube channel. And thanks everybody for participating. It was a real treat for me. And see you soon.
Bye.
Thank you, Barry. Bye-bye.
Thank you.